Massachusetts housing market remains very interesting for 2022 and 2023. The final numbers are finally in for 22, and I am here to talk to you about it. Okay, home sales were down over 16%. That is the amount of homes sold, but prices were up over 8%. What does that mean for buyers? What does that mean for sellers? I'm going to show you all the reports, the graphs, etc. We're even going to jump in the time capsule and look back to the year 2000 for a couple of key things. But first, I want to talk to buyers and sellers just overall about how you should be feeling, what you should be thinking right now. Let's do that first. Okay, let's start with home buyers. I want to talk to you all first, and I want to remind you that for 2.5 years you were dying to be in a situation where you could buy a home without competing with 10 people, where you didn't have to pay over asking, where you didn't have to have so much competition. Folks, it finally arrived. That opportunity arrived last summer. It was here all fall. Fall, I've said for years, more than a decade I have said, the best time of year to buy a home is in the fall. The problem is very few buyers listen to me, and you all end up coming out after the new year, and that is exactly what happened this year. And in fact, this year, you didn't even wait till after the new year. It was like everything changed the day after Christmas. All of you that were in somewhat hiding and hibernation since about September came out in droves. And we are back to seeing multiple offer situations, competition on listings, properties selling quickly, properties selling over asking price. Is it to the extent it was a year ago or 2 years ago? No, it's not. So you still should be happy, but I will tell you, as I always do, I'm very blunt, you did miss out on a hell of an opportunity in the fall. However, couple things have improved since the fall, so in the end, I don't think it matters that you waited till now. Number one, interest rates. Mortgage interest rates peaked at about 7% in late September, early October. They are down to about 6%. Some of our lenders are quoting mid-5s and high-5s for high credit-worthy borrowers. That's one good thing. The other thing that has happened is prices did settle back down a bit throughout the fall, as many of you buyers were in hibernation. Now, many of you buyers are also sellers, and I'm going to talk to you about that as well. But prices did settle down a bit from their peak, which was May and June of 2022. So the good news now is prices are lower now than they were 6 months ago, and interest rates are lower. So now you are in a good time to buy. Is it as good as it was in the fall? No. So if you are wondering why, I shouldn't say no. I should take that back a little bit. Depends how you look at it. Interest rates are better. New homes are starting to come on the market, so there's more to choose from. But it is a bit more competitive than it was 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago. That's what I mean when I say no. So let me take that back a little bit and just to clarify it. Folks, there's never a perfect exact time. When you are qualified to buy and you are ready to buy, you should go out and buy a home. And don't hem and haw if you run into a competitive situation. If you want something and someone else wants it, that's life. That happens. If you do happen to find a home that didn't sell through the fall that's still for sale, that doesn't mean something is wrong with that house. That might be a good deal. Go after it, okay? But you have to accept the fact, home buyers, that it is a bit more competitive than it was over the last 3 or 4 months. So in one hand, yes, it's a better time to buy than it was 3 or 4 months ago because of rates and because prices have settled a bit. But on the other hand, you are going to face more competition, and it is going to be like this for the next 5 to 6 months. It's the way it goes every single year. From January to July, there's a lot of competition, and then the competition backs off in the fall months. Home sellers, I have to have a word with you, and then I promise I'm going to go into all this data. You ruled the roost for 2 years, 2.5 years, from about May 2020 till about May 2022. When rates ended up going up a point in 17 days, the whole game changed. You are still in a very good position. Your home is still worth a lot more than it was 2 years ago. In a lot of cases, it's worth more than it was a year ago. Maybe not all, but in a lot. And it's worth dramatically more than it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. The further you go back, the more it is. And I'm going to show you that in the graphs that I'm going to go over in the housing market report. So be happy, be grateful, and don't be angry at a buyer or at your realtor because you missed the peak of May and June 2022 when home prices peaked for this cycle. In a couple of years, we'll pass that amount. But right now, most homes are not worth what they were then. They're worth a bit less. And if you recognize that up front, you price correctly up front. You get your price so that it's not just competitive in the market, but it's eye-catching to a buyer. And what I mean by that is if everything in your neighborhood is listed for, and I'm making up numbers, but listed between $800,000 and $900,000, price your home at $789,000, price your home at $799,000, and watch how many people you attract. The more people you attract, the more home buyers you attract, the more demand you will create. The more demand you create, the more your home will sell for. Okay? Pricing higher doesn't mean selling your home for more. The more competitively you price, the better off you will be. Okay, so I wanted to point these things out to home sellers because you have to recognize that the market has changed. 1 year ago right now, interest rates were 3.7%. Today, yes, they've improved, but they're still about 6%, 5.75 in that vicinity, okay? That means it costs a buyer a lot more to buy a home, and prices of other things are higher as well, and you have to accept that and you have to be realistic. All right, buyers and sellers, I talked in my normal blunt fashion. Now we're going to go into the data, and some of the things that I mentioned, I will mention again as I'm showing you the graphs, as I'm showing you the numbers, as I'm showing you the charts. Let's take a look. Now to get into the numbers, okay? This is where I'm going to show you the reports for 2022, and then I'm going to talk 2023 and what I see coming down the line. So let's pull up some of the reports here and jump right into our awesome 2022 year in review housing report. Our marketing team works very hard on this. They did a terrific job. And just to give you a quick overview, you can click right here on the image and you can see home sales were down by 16%. Okay, we had about 100,000 home sales in 2021, highest since 2005. And then we ended up with 83,000 in 2022. So sales were down 16.7%, but prices, take a look here, up 8.5%, 8.7% to an average home price in the state of Massachusetts up to $614,000 from $565,000. Now that's shocking to some people that prices are up, but they are. That's how it works, especially when you maintain a low inventory. Now take a look at this. This is something I'm going to get into more deeply in a few minutes. The amount of homes listed down 12%. That, folks, is why prices are holding strong. Pending's down 18. So that's a quick snapshot. Then if we scroll, obviously you can see a lot of the explanation, a lot of the things that we go over, and take a look at the amount of homes sold in Massachusetts. We were just over 80,000 at about 83. Where's the number? It's in here somewhere. 83,447, which is the lowest amount of homes sold since 2014. 2014 was the last year that we had less homes sold in Massachusetts. So this is classic 8, 10, 12-year adjustment that you see, and that's what we are in, and that's why the brakes got put on the market, mainly thanks to the interest rates, but also keep in mind that was going to happen at some point anyway, but interest rates sure sped it up. Take a look at the average home prices. So this is something that I really like to show you all because it's rather interesting when you look at that, and it goes back to 2008, and you can see 08 prices were about, I'm trying to look here without having to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in a little more for you all just to make sure you really can see that. Look at that, below 400 in 08, then prices went down to just over 300,000, and now look where we are, over 600,000. So prices have doubled in about 13 years, almost doubled if you look back the last 10 years. And look what happened since COVID hit in 20. Prices were 500,000, 21, 550-ish thousand. Now we're over 600,000. Remember, what did I say before? We went from 565 to over 600. Now we're at about 614. It's incredible. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to get into this more in my predictions. I think we might see things settle here for a year or two. Then they'll go back up again. 10 years from now, there'll be another chart showing how in 2022, prices average 614,000. In 10 years, 12 years from now, I'll be telling you the prices are over $1 million. Just how it goes, folks. Don't ever doubt real estate. In the long term, it is the greatest investment of all. 2022 sales by month. This kind of just shows you the amount of sales per month. And I'd say, we don't have to get into this in detail, but one thing I can show you that's interesting is look at 20, it was an anomaly. Or look at 19, look at the dark bars. The amount of home sales spiked in the summer months, then relaxed down toward the end of the year. 2020, they continued going like mad because they were so low in the beginning of the year because of the pandemic. 21, they did slow down as we went through the year, but not as much. 22, they slowed down extra. Why? Because it's an overcorrection. This is what we see in stock markets, all phases of economics. You see overcorrections, and that's what we're dealing with here. Now, prices increased 8.7%. Take a look at this in 22. Pretty flat throughout the year. Obviously, the peak, as it almost always is in June, always in a typical market, not 21 and 20, but typically prices peak in the summer. And so that's what we're getting back to. You can see prices were pushing 650. Now they're 614. It's just a typical settlement that you would see in a normal market. Now look at the various counties. Look at Dukes County. Always interesting to me out on Nantucket. 2.5 million. That catches my eye. Cape Cod up 19% from 2021. That's interesting. 773,000. Berkshire County up 11%. Middlesex County pretty flat. Look at that, pretty flat. Rather interesting. Last year Middlesex was up dramatically. Norfolk County up 1.6. You know what this tells me, folks? Let's look at Essex up 2.4%. You know what this tells me? This tells me that the suburbs outside of Boston are settling back down a little bit. And this is a wonderful thing that should be embraced. This should be excitement. Remember what happened when COVID hit. In Boston, there was a major lack of buyers. Prices initially dipped down a little bit. Buyers ran out to the suburbs. All along the 95 and 495 belts, things went crazy. And now they're settling down a little bit. Look at Worcester County, only up 5.8%. And I say only. Isn't that ridiculous that I'm saying only? 5.8%. So let's look at the counties right outside of Boston. Worcester County, 5.8. Norfolk County, up 1.6. Middlesex County, slightly down, call it even. Essex County, up 2.4. Now you jump to Suffolk, Boston was up 14%. Do you know what this tells me? This tells me exactly what I had pointed out during COVID. When everybody told me the cities are dead, well, first I heard the entire real estate market was dead, and I laughed at that. I said, here we go again. They said it after 9/11. They said it in 08. They said it during COVID. It's just amazing what people do. People are so fast to think that things are going to crash. But Boston and other major cities across the country got hurt in the initial, especially the first 6 months of COVID. People didn't like living near everyone. So there was a mad rush on the suburbs. Well, now the suburbs are calming down, coming back down to earth. That's all that's happening here. Hang on, let me make sure that this is showing you the right thing. Now I want to talk inventory. This is very important to go over inventory with you, because this will tell you why I am certain that we are not going to see prices just fall out in Massachusetts. It's not going to happen. Are we seeing them settle a little bit of a major decrease in the acceleration? Yes. But are we going to see them fall? No. 2022, this is the red line. Look at the inventory of homes for sale. Started the year with the lowest inventory in history. In May, we crossed over. That talks about that in here. We crossed over 2021. Get to the end of the year, we finished with the amount of inventory that is between 20 and 21. And we started the year a little bit higher as well. This is a good thing. It's getting back, but we're not in a situation where inventory is at 40,000. Even look at 2015. When we started the year in 15, there were 17,000 homes for sale. We ended the year in 15 with over 20,000 homes for sale. Now we have 7,500 homes for sale. 2006, there were 40,000. You can't have a market collapse, prices collapse with inventory this low. Now, here's what's interesting. This is the amount of homes listed for sale in Massachusetts. Okay, stay with me. In Massachusetts since the year 2000, look at this. There has been no other year that there were less homes listed for sale in Massachusetts. You have to go all the way back 22 years to the year 2000. And in 2000, there was like 200 less homes listed for sale. That means the amount of homes being listed for sale. Folks, why is that? Two reasons. The same reason we had for the last 3 years. Home sellers are concerned about where to go. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more homes that you have that aren't for sale, it gets worse. Okay? The less homes you have for sale, the less homes you have for sale. In addition to that, now we have interest rate concerns. People do not want to give up their mortgage interest rates, and that is why there's a lack of homes being listed, and I expect it to last throughout 2023. Early 24 is when we will see relief. By then, the economy will be better. When we look back in the time capsule a couple of years from now, I think we'll see prices adjusted slightly, but not terribly. And I'm going to get into that when I get to the predictions. Look at the amount of homes pending. Least amount of homes pending because there isn't anything for sale, and because inventory backed off, the amount of homes for sale backed off. Least amount of homes that went pending, meaning contracts accepted, since the year 2012. 10 years, folks. Every 10, 12, 8 or so years, there is an adjustment in the market. Now what I want to do is talk to you about my predictions. I put out my predictions the day after Christmas, and they got a lot of media attention and a lot of reads from buyers and sellers. And I'm not going to go through every line of my predictions. There's already a video with me doing that. But I want to point out a couple of distinct things that I did in here. I talked about how, and the predictions mixes up the states, it shows different regions, but it talks overall. It talks about just what I just discussed. It shows all different states. Connecticut also had the least amount of homes listed for sale than in any year back to 2000. But what I predicted for home prices, because this is what I know you all want to hear, because everyone is so scared of prices going down. I would be happy if prices went down 5 or 10%. Why? Because it would increase affordability. It would increase affordability, and that's what we need. There's a lot of people boxed out. Take a look here. In my predictions, what did I say? A year from now, when we measure the year of 2023 as a whole, I believe that prices will land somewhere between 3% down or 3% up. And that slight 6% swing, for all intents and purposes, is essentially a flat market and should be welcomed. Now, some buyers hear that and they go, oh my God, relax, take it easy. We're going to get through it. That is a good thing. So if you're watching this video and you're saying, this guy's nuts, I bought a home from his company a year ago, now he's saying my home might be worth 3% less. That's right. So won't my home. So won't buildings that I've purchased, homes that I've purchased. So what? Over the long term, the trajectory of real estate goes up. Remember that graph that I showed you 5 minutes ago? I can go back to it just to make everyone feel better. I can go back to it and show you what has happened to Massachusetts home prices since 2008. Look at this. They've gone up. And they will go up overall. So if you are looking to buy a home, don't fret. Don't get scared. Don't get nervous. When you see the home you like, buy the home. Homeownership is a tremendous investment. There are so many benefits to homeownership. Control of your own domain, a set monthly payment, growth of your asset long-term, mortgage interest deduction. There's so many wonderful benefits. But many of you have forgotten about those in the last 6 months as the market slowed down. But now in the last 4 weeks, oh my God, everyone's out looking, so I'm going to get out and look too. Just buy when you're ready to buy. Home sellers, be realistic, and you will be able to sell your home for a good price, okay? Everyone in Massachusetts that is watching, home buyers, home sellers, whoever you may be, we are here to serve you. Our realtors are here to serve you. We have nearly 500 realtors that serve Massachusetts. They do a terrific job. We're the fastest growing company in the state of Massachusetts, certainly independent company over the last few years, fastest growing, and we're here to serve you. Give us a call and we will do just that. Thank you.